Kia ora, nau mai, haere mai. Welcome to our live stream on LinkedIn with Wayne Armstrong from Placemakers, who's the head of digital channels. My name is Sarah Clearwater, and today I'm really looking forward to this conversation with Wayne about digital transformation, which is a huge topic. Welcome to our attendees, and welcome to you, Wayne.
No, thanks for having me, and welcome to everybody. Bit of a shame I can't really see everybody, but apparently you're all there, so that's a good start.
Perfect. Perfect, Wayne. You and I have been talking for a while now about digital transformation, and the thing that really struck me during our conversations was your perspective on the topic and how you talk really differently about it. And so I wonder if you can just give us an insight into what is digital transformation?
Well, it's kind of a good question because digital can mean a lot of different things to different people. And for me, I actually just think it's not a great word because a lot of people kind of think about digital as the buy button or online this or online that. But for me, it's all about how can we use modern technology to improve both the customer experience, but also that for our staff, right? So digital transformation for me ends up being about cultural change, and so for me, it's actually about people. Um, and I think a lot of discussion talks about technology and tools, and while that's great, the question is how are we using that to improve the lives of the people around us. So that's kind of my view, and it's definitely been a bit of a journey for me and for Placemakers over the last 10 years. And everything that I kind of do kind of reinforces those views. If you forget the people, then there's a reason why 80% of digital transformations fail. So globally, $4 trillion I think has been spent on digital transformations, and if you think 80% of those are failing, then something's going wrong. So we've been really lucky, privileged, or worked hard, whichever way you look at it, to make our ones success. There's always different versions of that, but yeah, I think that's how I differ.
That's fantastic. I love how you sort of really focus away from the technology conversation and say, well, it is about people. What would you say were sort of your top three learnings when you started like on that journey, or in retrospect now that you've gone through that?
Yeah, there's quite a few. Most of them are kind of scars on my back, to be honest. But yeah, so the key things that I wish I knew before I started on the journey is really about people and change. So change is hard. People don't like it. We all think the world is changing so fast around us, but when you take it down to the individual, if you're asking them to do something different today that they've been doing for 20 years, that's a big jump. We would have probably invested more in the change aspect of our transformation programs. Certainly more kind of CX, kind of thinking, So back in those days, it was, process mapping, and still actually fine, to be honest. But bringing all of those, those things together is one thing. And the other thing that would have done is invested in cross-functional teams more. So back in the day when we started, it was really functional silo type of approach, so finance, we're going to do this, and then, now if I look at what we do, we run Scaled Agile now, which is the view of bringing cross-functional teams. So we've got people within the team in India and Auckland and Australia, across both Placemakers, number of partners. And then, of course, within the program, we also have the change team, which comprises of multiple departments, from marketing to merchandise to digital to operations, all with that single view of what we're trying to achieve. So really, that's the third thing, which is really just anchoring on what are we trying to achieve as a business, because ultimately a team is just a group of people that have a shared objective. Especially in large corporates, we can get really caught up on our silos and us wanting to do something, and operations want to do this and this want to do that. But ultimately, we're all there to help our staff and customers.
Love that. Love that. I keep thinking that, when you throw out digital transformation into an organization, the business case is almost written itself. And everybody gets really excited about investing in new systems and new technology. And there's a momentum there, or desire for change, that we haven't really seen in response to any other initiative that's come into the business world recently. And so I'm wondering, how have you harnessed that energy for, I guess, digital transformation or change to help bring customers and their needs more into focus?
Yeah, so really, the digital transformation thing, like I said, I don't actually like the word, but I think it's great because it gets people thinking, there's this groundswell, you've got to be doing digital, right? The question is, what does that mean for you, your customers and your staff? And that's probably the first question, I'd advise you try and figure out. What does that mean, from a customer experience perspective, and work backwards, rather than going, oh, we want to implement this, we want to do a new ERP, we want to do these technology things. The question is why, what's the benefit for your business and what's the benefit for your customers? And if you can understand that in detail, then it gives you a real North Star, because as you go through transformation programs, they are hard, and, the people side, the technology side, bringing people together, functional silos, all those things are barriers, which are the reasons why 80% of transformations fail, right? So,
Yeah.
Thanks, Thomas. So,
How do you, so those silos, right? They are like embedded in organizations, and no matter where you are sitting, no matter who you're talking to, silos is always a massive complaint for people. How did you bridge those silos internally at Placemakers?
well, so first up, like, we're not perfect, right? So there's no perfect answer to these things. What we have done, the implementation of Scout Agile and the viewing of change as a part of the overall transformation program has been really successful. And what we'll talk about in a few weeks is a bit more detail about this, but effectively we've invested a change team that works alongside our branch staff and our customer side, and we've expanded that over time to include more functional silos, so that we have a lot more interaction, so we can build trust between the functional silos, the branches, and our customers. Because ultimately, if you go back to the change questions, why do I change from doing something in 20 years? Because I trust what you're saying is going to actually help make my world better. Once you get them in, and they go, wow, this is cool, and then you're away. But a lot of the real challenges that breaking that first change habit.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, what do you think are sort of some of the big myths or misconceptions that you've busted at Placemakers that helped you sort of move forward on that journey?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think the big challenges when we first started out was we really hadn't changed in 20 years. And Placemakers itself is a kind of a collection of a bunch of smaller companies. So, we had joint venture structure, and it was always about being really close to the customer, which was brilliant. But the people close to the customer didn't see some of the advantages of doing a dual model where, the central functions have expertise in that area, and they can do maybe a bit better job while letting the people close to the customer deal with them. And so that was really the big change for Placemakers. And then as we went through that journey, huge change, resistance and disbelief. And, you've seen you guys before, every 2 years you turn up and then you leave, you don't do anything. All those kind of real life stories that I have. But then over the years, as we went through, some of those same people said, actually, this has been the best thing that we've done, and then they started saying, hey, what can we do? But we can do this, why don't we do this? And so that's really the cultural change that we went about, but it's those views and, that resistance and, the ability to kind of look ahead and think about the customer rather than my own kind of world.
What is the value for the customer when an organization changes its culture?
Oh, it's huge. Like, so the building industry, you look around the world, is traditionally pretty slow to change. In fact, it hasn't really changed, if I'm being totally honest with you. In a long, long time, we still build the same ways. You've got to put foundations down, frames, trusses, put the roof on, fill it in. So, in the construction industry, there's between 30 and 40% waste in terms of people and materials and stuff moving everywhere. It's really complex, right? It's kind of like building technology, it's super complex. People don't understand until they're in it. But the benefit of all of that, if we can bring all of those things together, and make it really easy so they can see all of those things and reduce all of those communication points, all those areas of waste, if you use like a Six Sigma terminology, for example, means that they can get the build done faster, they can make more money, and they can have happier clients. One of the key things that we really focused on was how do we, we're a distributor, we buy and sell stuff, so how can we make sure that our clients and customers know where their products are? Where's my stuff?
Yeah.
And so, we've gone from 100% paper-based processes. So we printed 22 million pages of paper before. We'll now reduce that by over half, 11 million pages. We're sending 1.5 million text messages and push notifications to our customers now, with real-time visibility on where their stuff is, real-time tracking, the Uber tracking of trucks. So all of those things are actually quantum leaps from a customer perspective, giving them certainty that they're going to get the products they need to keep the building going, to make more money, and ultimately build a house or something that's super emotional for all New Zealanders, and make it a success.
Yeah, 100%. I'm really curious how that understanding of value changed from when you started on the digital transformation journey to where you are now. Like, how has the conversation inside your organization changed?
Oh, it's it's a continual journey. So when I first started, we were talking around finance and integrating systems, or automating 800,000 manual transactions, centralizing credit. Making sure we can, kind of basically save more money and make it better for our staff. That was really the conversation. Then we moved on to operations and go, how can we simplify the jobs of these people? Reduce all the paper, reduce the chaos to a certain degree. How can we modernize the fleet, the driver experience, the customer experience, the photos on site, appending to invoices? And now then we said, well, how can we help our customers? And expose all these great digital tools that we've created, and then help make their life easier. And we're really focused on delivering products, but one of the features coming up in another month or so is really helping them quote more easily. So now we're starting to expand that into how do we help you build better as a customer, rather than how can we just provide the products that you need on time and in spec.
Amazing. It sounds like it was sort of from a very functional, I guess, tangible value proposition that kickstarted the process through to something that is actually more emotive now, and I guess more accessible for the customer from an emotional perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think our key, the reason we did it that way is we needed to sort our stuff out first. So a lot of companies might start from the front end and go, we want to do this for our customers, and nice, pretty images. But then they'll still soon realize that actually, our own stuff, it's kind of hard to digitize a piece of paper when someone's written on it, change it from a Tuesday to a Thursday on a bit of paper. Kind of hard to show that to your customer, right? And so our journey actually absolutely is sounds an emotive journey, but it's quite a logical one as well. And all through that time, we've been learning and changing. We talked about the change and how we've done that. Instead of 200 people, we're now changing 25,000 people. So we have to have a lot more structured, smarter, more targeted, and wider with how we do change. So that's evolved and changed as we have.
Yeah, 100%. It sounds like a fascinating journey that you've been on, Wayne. And I'm personally really excited about, I guess, our deep dive into the whole change journey in our seminar in 2 weeks' time. I wonder, Wayne, if you could just share with the audience the things that you're really excited about sharing with them that might help them on their transformation journey.
Yeah, so 2 things really. First thing, just great to share our story and the great work that our teams have done. Nice going from one of the team there on the chat. Do a super great job. Amazing people. Just want to share their story. But I'm also excited about the workshop and about how can we help the people on the call. What do you bring along your problem? What's the kind of the big problem that you guys are facing? And what I'll do is I'll provide a bit of a framework for how you can break that down in terms of people, systems, processes, change, within that kind of 30-minute period. and then you can discuss with a kind of a group of 3 or 4 other people, and give you something tangible that you can kind of learn and take away. So I'm kind of excited about that. It's the first time we're going to do that here. So, learning for me as well.
That's amazing, Wayne. Hey, thank you so much for your time this morning. Thank you to our audience for joining us. This was a lightning chat with Wayne Armstrong, Head of Digital Channels at Placemakers. If you are keen to learn more from Wayne or have a more deeper conversation about what digital transformation might look like in your organization, then join us for our seminar in 2 weeks' time. The link's going to be put in the chat shortly. And yeah, it was a real pleasure. Thank you so much.
No, pleasure as always. Look forward to seeing you guys in a few weeks. Should be fun.
Kia ora.